Well, a very good afternoon to you, or a very good morning, or a very good evening, or wherever you might be listening to our webinar. Perhaps you're listening to it live in the car park there at Coffs Harbour, or perhaps you're listening to this on our podcast. A very big welcome to you. My name's Natalie Ashdown from the Open Door Coaching Group. Welcome to our Coaching Cafe webinar, where today we're going to be discussing career agility. And is this the great answer to the great resignation? So I'm very pleased to have join me on the line an expert who's written a book on the topic that can actually answer that questions for us. But before I begin, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the custodians on the lands on which we're all meeting today and their continuing connection to our land, the waters and communities of Australia. We pay our respects to them and to their elders past, present and emerging, and anyone that might be on the line from an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander descent. And of course, I extend my welcome to our international guests who also might be from a traditional owners of your lands. So welcome to you all. So our agendas for today, don't forget to scan me, hashtag us as you have been doing. It keeps young Leo in our office very active with our socials. You can tell I'm an old person, I don't know about that, but thank you for hashtagging Open Door Coaching Cafe. We want to talk about this theme that you're seeing a lot in the media around the great resignation. And our agenda really is to talk about this concept of career agility. And I'm very excited to actually hear from an expert and to welcome you, Veronica Millen, to the webinar. I've been hoping you would come and join us for some time now. So a very big welcome to you all. A very big welcome to you, Veronica, for joining us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Natalie. I'm really excited to
be here. Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm going to just do a 2-second introduction and then I really want to launch into our conversation. So I won't take too long because we really do want to hear from you. But for those of you that might be new to the Coaching Cafe, welcome. We are all about creating a community where we come together every Friday at this time, or lots of people listen to it online via our podcast. But we're all about sharing our learned experience. Experts on the line, we're all great coaches, and we want to share our learned experience and have these thought-provoking conversations. So welcome to you if you are new, and welcome back to all our regulars. You know that we love coaching cafes. You know that we love Fridays because you come and join us. So thank you so much. And if you are here because you're after your CCEUs, your ICF continuing coach education points, and you're clocking those up, well done. They're offered free of charge. It's a way of giving back to the community, and I will have it available for you at the end of the session. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get into our conversation, and I'm very welcome. First of all, welcome to you, Veronica. I have the book here. You can see it's all tabbed up, ready to go. So I have sent you some questions, but I've got a couple of questions without notice, actually. And for those of you that haven't met Veronica, her HR experience expands over 20 years. You've been coach now for over 12 years. I can't believe you did your Certificate 4 in Workplace and Business Coaching with Open Door back in 2010. I just couldn't believe it when you mentioned that.
So I can't believe it, time flies.
I know, yes, it was before children and all sorts of things. So, so first of all, I want to say a very big congratulations on the book. This was your lockdown project, but as I mentioned with Mel's book last week, this is so much more than a lockdown project. This is 20 years of HR experience right here in the book. So a big congratulations to you first up. And I wonder if we could just get straight into our conversation, Veronica, about your opinion on what we're seeing in the media about the great resignation. Have you got some thoughts you might be able to share with us about that?
Yeah, thanks so much, Natalie, and thanks for inviting me along. And hi, everyone. And I too acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which I'm calling on and acknowledge their elders past, present and emerging. So, yes, the great resignation. I actually see it slightly differently. As you say, I can't believe it's been over a decade since I started my official coaching journey with Open Door Education, and my aim then was to become a PCC, and last year I achieved that goal, which was really exciting. In relation to, problems with the sound, can you hear me?
We can hear you, but you're kind of fading in and out a little bit. So
Okay.
that's okay. We can take a moment and
Okay. I'll just check
see if there's anything we need to do.
My husband's in the next room and he's the IT wizard, so if we need him, we'll just put my headset on. He says, okay.
Yeah, there's a bit of
Okay.
echo. Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, thanks for picking that up. Yeah.
Thanks, Lisa, for letting us know about the sound. We can put the headset on. That's fine. We're agile. Is that any better?
Oh, a million times. Thank you.
Oh, a million
awesome.
times. All right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate that. I'm glad it's a better sound quality. So the Great Resignation, for me, I see it really as the great realignment. I don't think it is the Great Resignation. I think we all need to still pay our bills. We haven't all won Tatsotto. Maybe a couple of lucky people have. But I think for the majority of people, we still need to work. And work fulfills a lot of needs for us, not just financial. There's a lot of research that shows that working, gives us a sense of purpose. So for me, it's the great realignment. And it's really interesting because the US went first and they said, all these people are going to resign. And I've actually read a recent study by Zeti, who are career counsellors in the US, and they found that over 73% of people have now surprise regret. So those people in the US who resigned and went to something else are now 73% of them are reporting that they're actually didn't find that career sweet spot that they thought they might. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity for all of us as coaches and for our own careers, and also supporting leaders who might be coaching within organisations to actually ensure that we coach people so that if they are considering a change, a realignment, a resignation, whatever it might be, that it is something that is aligned to their values and their purpose. So, the research around the Great Resignation is that most people are reevaluating work life because of the pandemic. So Qualitrix survey found that 51% of Australians would stay longer at their current employer if work-life balance was available.
There you go.
And there's a lot, I'm sure people on the call and listening to the podcast have seen a lot of those data. And knowing as coaches, when we work with people, we do a lot of work often to help them understand their values, what they're looking for, what's important to them. So for me, it's not the Great Resignation. I think it's the great realignment. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity for us as coaches to really support people in understanding what makes them happy in their career, what makes them happy in their life, and asking those open questions to help them uncover that so that they're not part of that 72% when it comes to Australia that feel that sense of regret if they go to a new role or a new organisation or a new leader and it's not the grass is greener on the other side. So it's really interesting time. They do say it's coming to Australia, 43% according to the ABS are looking for a new job this year. So it is a great opportunity for us to think, how can we support them in making sure that new job is something that they'll enjoy?
Yeah, thank you. I think you've just given us a whole complete new reframe on on this topic, on what the media is saying. But not only that, you're backing it up with research, which we really appreciate, Veronica. And by the way, if anyone's got questions for Veronica as we go along, I should have mentioned, pop it into the chat box and we'll pick up as many as we can as we go along. I really relate to what you were saying. I was coaching someone just this morning where she is so tired, so depleted after 2 years of keeping it together, that now she's starting to think about what you talk about in your book, thinking about the thinking about what does she really want, and that's where the realignment comes into it, I think. Yeah. And you mentioned in your book, I really love this concept around the archaeological dig, around purpose. And it really relates to the coaching I was doing this morning. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that archaeological dig that we might need to do to capture that realignment?
Absolutely. I love a good reframe.
Yeah.
And so you're right. Look, all the statistics show it as well.
that the majority of people are feeling burnt out after the pandemic and are looking for that realignment. So the archaeological dig is this concept that we look back through our career history and through our life and think about, what is it that we enjoyed? When did we feel alive? When did we enjoy things? When did we feel a sense of purpose? A lot of employees are looking for a sense of purpose. They're looking for work-life balance and they're looking for purpose. So when did we feel that? That's a good question for ourselves individually, but also for our coachees and for leaders, if we're coaching leaders on how to have conversations with their employees. A lot of the employee engagement statistics that I'm seeing say that people are engaged and want to stay in their organisation if they feel alignment with the purpose of the organisation and that their role is making a significant difference. So I really encourage people I'm coaching. I've spent a lot of years in the career coaching space, particularly. That's a real passion for me, obviously. And it's amazing how insightful that exercise can be. So we say, let's do an archaeological dig. Let's look through your history and think about the times. And I remember one individual I was coaching, and she had done a range of different jobs. She'd done a personal assistant, a travel agent, projects. And she said, there's no consistency. I've done all these different things. That's okay, let's go through it. And I also encourage her in her own time to stop and reflect, because sometimes other things come to us. Speak to other people. Her partner said, remember, you used to always come home from work and hate this or love this or whatever it was. And then we found, when we looked back through her archaeological dig, which is simply the roles she'd done and what she loved and what she hated, their roles were completely different, but there was a theme. She always loved it when she had ownership of end to end of a project. As a travel agent or a personal assistant or someone in gas and electricity projects. She didn't like micromanagement. She liked it when she had a clear goal and an end-to-end, as I said. So she started to see, actually, whilst I don't know what I want to do next, I know that there's a consistent theme. And people often come to me as a career coach going, I don't know what I want to do. What do I want to do next? And sometimes we don't have to have a label for it. We can have conversations with people where they've done their archaeological dig, and then they can go and say, what I love is owning projects end to end. So if you've got work in that space, I'm open to it. So the archaeological dig really helps people who have no idea what they want to do and what they're good at and what they like to reflect back on their career to date and say, actually, there is some themes and consistency. And the consistent feedback I get from coachees on that is that it does give them value. Initially, they think, oh no, I know there's nothing there for me. And then when they do the exercise, they get real value out of it. So I hope that's useful for everyone on the call and listening to the podcast as a tangible thing that you can take out of today that you can use with your clients in getting them to reflect on their career to date and what they've enjoyed and what they've found challenging and what the consistent themes are.
Well, I like that it's an exercise we can do, but I also love the metaphor around an archaeological dig. I like the fact that we're, that we are digging in and seeing, so perhaps some things that have been buried for a long, long time. And I can imagine that things get buried because of, the work commitments and the roles that we take on, and how things get added to our roles and our roles get expanded. It's like, let's go back to what really makes us happy or what we really need in a role.
And that's what I find. I think it is really that digging. So as I said, it's taking time and reflecting, not just the first thing we think about, but actually coming back to the exercise. So I ask people to do their first thoughts, but then between sessions to actually take their time and continue to think and ask others and really reflect. As you say, I mean, so many people come to me and it makes me so sad that they're not happy in their jobs. We spend over a third of our life at work. It's important that we like the majority of our work time. And I think the reason that they don't know what to do. So, I've spent more time planning renovations or an overseas holiday or when we could do them or buying a new car than I have sometimes on planning my career. And when I reflect on the people who come and see me and are not happy in their career, it's often because they just don't know what to do next. And I think our role as coaches is to ask great questions like the archaeological dig to help support them in that journey. And so it's such a simple thing, but it can be so impactful because, as you say, we get so busy and we're all trying to juggle whether it's learning from home with their kids and work and all of those different things, and we don't have that time. And if we make the time to stop and think and dig, we can usually find some really good insights that actually help us think about what's next. And that's what people want. They want to enjoy their work. They're just not sure how to do it. And that's what's exciting as a coach. And with that lady that I was talking about, I helped her, coached her, and she found another role internally that she loved, and it was fantastic. And I used to love bumping into her in the cafe and so on, because she'd say, "Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you so much." And then I saw her about a year later, and I bumped into her, and I was so excited because I thought I'll get the praise and the thank you and it'll be really fulfilling. She said, "I'm hating my job." And oh, and I said, "What's happened?" "Oh, the leader's changed, da, 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 da." But she said to me, "The difference is I know what to do now. I've got the skills that you gave me. I'm pulling out the exercises that I've now, through the lockdown project, put together in a book that were all in my head." And that was what was so rewarding. It's like, you're not just giving them the answer, giving them the fish, you're teaching them to fish. So I can't promise that her job will always be fulfilling, but if we give people the tools as the coach, then they know they can. She knew to go back to her archaeological dig and think about what was important to her when she looked for her next move. So whilst at first I was disappointed that she wasn't happy in her role, it was really lovely to hear that she had the tools to help move her forward through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lisa's asked a couple of questions. If you don't mind, Lisa, we might just pick them up at the end of our conversation around research. Does the research differ between genders and ethnicity?
Yes.
And also, how is the Great Resignation impacting on gender equality? What great questions. Perhaps I can come back to those, because I really want to, you can have a think about them as well, right? Sure. I really want to dig into the book more and see what other questions we can bring out as well. So career agility, your book does, I also want to loop back to also that your book includes, it's like a handbook for doing this, really. It's got amazing exercises. I sat down, I didn't do all the exercises, but I read through the whole book. I imagined myself doing the exercises, and it's such a great handbook. Step us through this concept of career agility. So I've got two questions for you. What is career agility, and how does it help with the conversation we're having? Can I throw those two questions at you, even though they're a stacked question?
All good. All good. Absolutely. So for me, I wanted to put all those exercises that I use as a career coach in a book. So as you said, it's the book is very interactive. It's full of exercises to help people.
Yeah.
Because as I said, most people come to me and they're unhappy. What's my next step? I don't know, but they don't know what to do about it. So it's certainly not how to write a LinkedIn profile, how to write a resume, and it's not that mentoring of how to. It is taking that step back. And really thinking, well, what do I want to do? So for me, career agility was born from, I was working in a large corporate that used the agile methodology. And I think we need to be agile in our careers, because even if we're loving what we're doing, sometimes it's automated, sometimes the role's made redundant, the leader changes, what our personal circumstances change. When I first started working, I was quite ambitious and wanted to climb the corporate ladder. Then once I had a family, I really was more interested in work-life balance. So things change and we need to remain agile. So I think we can use those agile skills that we might utilize in project management at work for our own career. So for me, career agility is first identifying what our career sweet spot is. So what is it that makes us happy, whether it's through an exercise like the archaeological dig or other exercises that we might do. And then how do we maintain that? How do we maintain agility? Things like coming to these where we, professional education, what is it that we do to keep ourselves agile and employable so that if our role is automated or the company's taken over or our personal circumstances change and we're looking for a new role, we're still employable. We don't just wait until that happens and then think, what next? We're keeping those. As I said, we often spend a lot of time planning a renovation at home or a holiday or a car, but we don't often spend a lot of time on our career. So I think it's really important to remain agile, and that's what this is aimed at doing at this passion project is really around giving people the tangible skills, because people want to do it but often don't know how. So it's a great toolkit for individuals, but also for coaches to use if they're interested in the career coaching side of things, to use with their coachees for practical tools of how can you be agile.
100%. I don't mind telling everyone on the line, as soon as I got my hands on the book and I had a really good read of it, I've ordered 26 copies of the book, and that they've gone out to a client that I'm working with already. And the reason I did that is because I'm like, this is the book that we need right now, not only if we're comfortable, not if we're, so we need it right now if we're comfortable in our roles. We need it right now if we're thinking about a career change, but we need it right now to be agile, as you said. So it's perfect timing, I think, for many people to actually work through the exercises. And it's a very easy read, to work through those exercises, to really think about, let's just take a checkpoint on our careers. Let's just have a think about our careers and how we're going, and are we being agile? And that's exactly the purpose that I'm working with clients. So I appreciate the book a lot from that perspective. I'm like, great, let's send that out to them. That'll help them. So absolutely. And you've got a model in the book, Veronica, that you have allowed me to share, which is wonderful. And it talks about this career suites. So could you, I've put the model up there on a screen for everyone to see, but can you tell us a bit more about what is that career sweet spot and why it's important?
Sure. So for me, everybody has a career sweet spot, but it may be different for different individuals. So for me, it's around coaching the person to identify what is that career sweet spot for them. So, for example, I can organise an event. I can organise an event quite well because I worry about every little thing that could go wrong. So I don't like organising events because I worry about everything that could go wrong. So I've got the skills, but everyone says to me, you should be a great event planner. You know, yes, I could organise a good event, but I'd be worried the whole time. So it's in my skills, but it's not necessarily my interests or my needs. So for me, your career sweet spot needs to be something you have the skills for, or you're willing to gain the skills for. You're willing to invest the time to educate yourself and get what you need. You've got the interest. It's something you actually enjoy. You know, people who know positive psychology know that strengths is the interaction of skills and interests. So that piece, it meets your needs. What are your values? You know, where do you need to work from? Work-life balance, remuneration. And that's where the job market so unless we've won Tats Lotto and we're working for fun, we need to also get paid to do these things. So what I do with my candidates and with the book is go through each of those sections one by one. So I'll go through with a coachee and we'll work through what are your skills. So I'll ask questions around that, open questions to help them work out and identify what their skills are. Then we'll do a section on interests, and we can use the archaeological dig for any of these. And then what are your needs? So each section of the book and each section that I have with a client, I will go through each of those independently, and then we try and bring it together. What does that mean? If these are the skills, these are the interests, and these are the needs, what does that mean? And asking them questions of what could that be, and encouraging them to ask others, what could that be? So that's the model. So when I interviewed a lot of people who were really happy in their roles, they had all found their career sweet spot. Now, many of them hadn't gone through and organised what are my interests, what are my skills, what are my needs. It was a happy accident. Some of them had. But what the uniting thing was when they were happy in their roles, they had met their interest, skills and needs, and they were adequately remunerated. So that's the model I go through. So there's lots and lots of exercises. And what I say to people is do the ones that work and resonate for you. So under interest, there might be 5 to 10 exercises. Under skills, there might be 5 or 10, etc. You don't have to do all of them, you can, but let's pick out the ones, you know, everyone learns differently. Some people are visual, some people are audio, some people like to extrovert and talk to others, some people want to reflect on their own. You can do whichever exercises work for you. So as a coach, if you're listening and you like this model and you want to use it with your coachees, tailor it to the coachee's need. You know, if they're really clear on their skills, you don't need to spend much time on that. If they've got no idea, they might need to reflect and think, and you might need to coach and support them through that. But that's the model that I've found that over decades of coaching people through career changes, that helps people really think about what do they want to aim for so that they can articulate it, whether it's to a recruiter, to their line manager within the company they're working in, whatever it is. It might not have a name of a particular job, but they can say what I'm good at and what I like doing and what I need is this, and it really helps them own and manage their career.
So many questions are coming up whilst you're speaking. I am listening, but I'm like, oh, that's a good question. I can ask it. So the question, there's a couple that are coming up for me. One of them is that what's your opinion, Veronica, in terms of our sweet spot could actually change over time?
100%. So as I said, when I started my career, I was, single and I was career focused. And so for me, my needs were very different to what they are now. So I was very ambitious and wanted to climb the corporate ladder and was getting promotions in human resources at a large financial institution that I worked at for a decade and one of the big 4 banks. Now I have a daughter in primary school and my needs of, what I want is very different. So my career suite, I've got more experience and skills, and my needs personally are different. So absolutely, that's why I feel that we need to remain agile and we need to continue to do these exercises. So often with my coachees, we revisit these things every couple of years, and I encourage people to do that and remain. That's the whole idea of the agility, is not just to find your career sweet spot, but to keep it. So that when the world changes, you're ready because you've kept your skills up to date and you know what your needs are, and those things change. The majority of people, 95% of people surveyed said that flexible working now is as important to them as a competitive package. The pandemic has really changed, that great realignment. People have said, no, I actually enjoy working from home most of the time, or whatever it is for them. So absolutely, our career sweet spot changes. So one exercise that might be really useful for people listening, that is a great one, I think, is even if they're really happy in their job, if they want to do some career planning, imagine something's happened tomorrow. The company gets taken over, your job gets made redundant, someone rings you with a dream job. What would you wish you had have done? And get them to list those things out. And usually they'll say, have an outfit for interviews, know what my salary should, negotiate my salary, have my references up to date, have my resume up to date, have my LinkedIn profile up to date. So are they making time to do those things each month so that they're ready and agile and ready to go? But absolutely, to answer your question, Natalie, career sweet spot can change over time. One, because of our own personal circumstances, but 2, because the skills might be different and what's needed. So we need to think really broadly about our skills, because we might have skills in a certain area and then that might get offshored or automated. So then we have to think about how can we use those skills in a different way. So we need to coach people to think about, how is that a transferable skill? Who could you speak to about how they've transferred their skills from that industry to another industry and things like that? So yeah, 100% the career sweet spots changes, and that's why we need to have those career agility skills. And that's why it's good to have a toolkit, whether it's a book or something else, your suite of exercise. And that's what I loved when I did Open coaching is, my toolkit of, the grow model and the reframe and all of those kinds of things that I still use today to fall back on. So as a career coach, I have those exercises that I'm happy to share with people through the book that then you can pull out and utilize, because things will change over time.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I think what I'm also feeling is that, and I'm sure people on the line are feeling the same thing, we can actually kind of relax into this as well. So it's perhaps something that we might think about, getting the book, and maybe we do it over the next 3 months or 6 months, or so it's not because, oh, you're going to change a job, get ready, what if you made redundant? It's more about, it's something that we can do as a self-reflective practice, or for ourselves, but also it's something we could offer perhaps to our clients as a self-reflective practice, the next couple of months or the next 6 months, or over one of the breaks that we have. Let's just reflect, I think.
100%. I think that's the thing. Don't put the pressure on to have a critical incident occur where your job's made redundant, or you suddenly hate your job, or whatever it is, and then you have to suddenly quickly do all these things. Take your time and take the pressure off. You've got, people who can help you. A coach can help you, the book can help you. There's lots of great tools out there, so that you don't have to madly scramble at the last minute, and you don't have to do it alone without support. coaches can help you. And to Lisa's point, I think I just saw it pop up as one of the questions. It's a really good point. I've included values and motivation in needs. But look, as a career coach, you can choose where you put them and what you call them. I've seen these model in various guises when I've worked at many career coaching and outplacement organisations. So absolutely, you could relabel the needs to values or motivation or different things. But within that's, I 100% agree, Lisa. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, I think it's important to know that you've got these labels on the diagram, but underneath that, as you've mentioned, Veronica, there's several exercises you'll do. For example, there's a wonderful exercise you've got in the book there on values and prioritizing what's important to you. And there's another exercise you got, which is close to my heart, where we're actually focusing on our strengths, so our motivations, our strengths. So whilst you might not have the word strengths there or values, the exercises are built into the book as well. Yeah.
And I'm
so
happy
I do feel
people,
like...
I'm happy for people to use this model and tailor it and use their own language. You can relabel them whatever you like, whatever works for you, and your clients. Absolutely. It can 100%.
Yeah. Well, look, we are right on time, and hopefully, I know it just goes so quickly. Coaching Cafes, it really does. I just feel like there's a million other questions we could ask you. But people can also connect with Veronica on LinkedIn or email. Perhaps, Lisa, you can talk about the gender and look for some statistics there together. People are asking, how do we order the book directly? And we do have a link in the chat. And I will I'll just see if I can back my screen. So there's the link there on the website as well. But yeah, feel free to order it directly from Veronica's website. I want to thank you, Veronica, for putting this book together. When I was young and starting off in my career, there was a book called What Colour is My Parachute?
Yes. It's a great
and I
book.
feel like I still love that book. I wrote in it nonstop. And I feel like this is like the modern version of that book, actually. So I feel really excited that we've got a modern book written by a person who we know, Open Door alumni, and you've shared a wealth of knowledge and experience, not only in the book, but with us today here on the Coaching Cafe. So, and that massive reframe, like we are going to start using that. Forget about the resignation. Let's talk about realignment. I think we can all start talking about that straight away. So thank you so much, Veronica, for your time today.
Oh, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it. The time went really quickly. Time flies when you're having fun. And that's a massive compliment, because that, as a career coach, I've always loved What Colour is Your Parachute, and was wanting to give people practical tools, but that were slightly more modern. And look, more than happy to have a chat with anybody, connect with me on LinkedIn. We can chat on LinkedIn. Lisa, I've done a lot of work in terms of gender and how the Great Realignment is affecting gender and women in particular. So I've got a lot of stats on that. So more than happy to chat about that. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe there's another topic we need to come back to in another cafe. But thanks everyone for joining us. We do have our diploma of organisational coaching coming up, and it's a great opportunity if you're thinking about expanding your coaching skills, particularly if you've done your Cert 4 or you've done some other coach training. So if you're thinking about your professional development this year, have a think about that. For the alumni, join us on those coaching buddy nights. They've been very successful. And of course, we've got Leader as Coach going on in a new format as well. So plenty going on here at Open Door, and what a privilege to be able to bring back our alumni, talented alumni who have written books to share their wealth of knowledge and experience. So thank you all for joining us on the line. And as I always say, enjoy your coaching.